Welcome back to the Mr. Think Smart Show. I have a special guest in the building. I've been knowing this gentleman since 2004 when I crossed those burning sands of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Listen, he called himself, Big Wall Baby Love. I'm going to call him a living legend. That's what he is. He's a living legend. And he has a unique story, and the world needs to hear it. We're going to talk about some of his accomplishments, some of his downfalls, and how he rebounded and made this thing special. Walt Baby Love, what's good, baby?
What's up, Noopy? Yo to all the noobs out there, first off.
Always and forever. Yeah. I see it. I see you shining, Noop. So, Noop, let's just start off at the beginning, man. Let's start off prior to your time and your downfall, and I'll let you lead into that. But I just want you to run the story. Tell your story of achievement in every field of human endeavor through your journey. So let's start a couple months or a year prior to. Man, run your story, bro.
I think first off, being a third generation PJ kid, project kid coming out of East St. Louis, you always have wishes and dreams to be a little bit more. So growing up in the oil weathers, has taught me a lot of life lessons. So being able to go to college, being able to get a degree meant a lot to me. So that's the ambition. Like in the Greek tragedy, sometimes a hero downfall is because of his own personal deficits. So I guess with me, it'd probably be the greed of wanting more, because I never really had anything. Mm-hmm. So my journey into politics started off with Lock 'em Down Records, Dr. Benjamin Chavis, Russell Simmons, and Sign Action Network. We broke the record of the number of voters, registered number of voters in St. Louis, Missouri. So that led to KC, to the Source Magazine Get Out and Vote Youth Rally. Then I had a conversation with Jeff, and I'm like, man, cousin Jeff, you've been so successful. What is it that you've done that allowed you to just get this much support? And he said, man, you got to start in your hometown. So I ran for school board around 2002, and I was successful. I got enough votes, but I didn't win. But I got a lot of support, and I used that support to support the then Alvin Parks, who became the mayor. And at that time, when he became the mayor, I was appointed to liquor commissioner in St. Louis. So when that happened, the euphoric of the moment, 24 years old, the youngest liquor commissioner in the state of Illinois, probably in the whole United States, I began to just be greedy. And, I took some bribes, and, I did some things I wasn't supposed to do because that's the lifestyle I was living. And so, I set the responsibility for those, and that ultimately ended me up with a prison sentence of 5 years in the federal penitentiary. So
that led you to that prison sentence. So, yeah. Speak a little bit more on that. So then you go to prison.
Yes.
And you had this downfall. You're still a kid from the neighborhood. So I'm not going to say you're accustomed to it, but you're accustomed to the toughness and the roughness. But how was that experience through those 5 years?
There was nothing that I can say educational-wise that can help me with that whole environment. I had to revert back to that project lifestyle growing up in East St. Louis, that mental toughness, that physical toughness to get me through that phase. Some people, they go to prison, they never come back the same. But it got to be something intrinsic inside of you to say, I'm going to make each and every one of these days count. And even though I'm in calamity, when I come out of it, I'm going to be stronger, because this cannot break me. It only can make me better. Not smarter, not a smarter criminal, but a better human being, a better man, hence a better father.
Wow. So give me some experiences while you were there that you can share. That I'm not going to say that shook you, but was eye-opening and kind of mind-blowing.
I think the biggest eye-opening aspect of prison is the animalistic treatment. Just to hear that gate close, knowing that you're not going to be able to go and see your mother when you want to. You're not going to be able to walk into a refrigerator and eat when you want because there's no refrigerator for you. Somebody's going to tell you when to get up, when to go to sleep, when you're going to work out, when you're going to do what you're going to do. Your whole life is controlled. And it's all about that amendment that abolished slavery. That says the last part of the amendment clearly states the only way you can return to a slave is for punishment for committing a crime, a felony. So that experience puts you in a slave state, not mentality, a slave state.
Slave state of mind. Gotcha.
Slave state of mind.
Gotcha.
And a slave state of being. Because you can't even be who you are as a man and live and survive because that's not meant for you to do. There is no true... People send people in America to prison all the time. There is no true rehabilitation unless you're ready to self-rehabilitate.
Gotcha. So, okay, you do 5 years, you get out. How was that process?
It's like you let any animal out of the cage, they're going to be nervous. If you ever seen a dog come out of the cage, they're going to be nervous. And the biggest part is when you see all these stories and you say, the stories about man versus self, you talking about plots and themes, man versus society, and man versus nature. All three of those is what you're going to be. How I'm going to get back to myself. How I'm going to be in this world and survive and be able to make it. And then where am I going to live, sleep, and eat? Maslow's hierarchy of needs is food, shelter, and clothing. You don't have any of that. When you come home, you don't have any of that. If a man is even living in his mother's house, he still is homeless. But I was able, with the support of my ship, you know what I'm saying, most of my frat brothers, I was able to, thank God, to get some money and get a place of my own. And that in itself, it took a lot of stress off me. But the guilt and the shame and everything that you lost, it comes to play with your mind.
So mental toughness, mental development is important. But like you said, it's about not just rehabilitation, but self-rehabilitation.
Exactly.
You have to want it and have to want to be better yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go to the halfway house. How long were you there?
So they sent me to a halfway house. I didn't come to a halfway house in St. Louis. This is how difficult the system makes it. They sent me to a halfway house in Farmington. So not only did I come home to my family, but I was still separated from my family. So I had to go to a halfway house in Farmington and try to find a ride, hours away back home in order to reintegrate into society. It was tough. Not only that, so they got this program called RDAP, right? So RDAP is a drug treatment program. Like if you ever drink a beer or anything, use alcohol at any time your mind was altered from a substance, they give you 18 months off your sentence if you successfully complete this program. But the program states if you make any mistake, you're gonna do those 18 months back. So it's one of the toughest programs in the system. But if you complete these programs, your chance of recidivating is extremely low. An average person, if they come out without no program treatment, the statistics say they got a 75% return back to prison within the first 2 years. So if you complete RDAP, you got a 25% chance of returning back to prison in the first 2 years. Well, I've been out like more than 6 years. I'm here, so I guess the program works. Plus, having a master's degree in therapy, I believe in treatment. So with that being said, I did it.
We see you did it, brother. You've been out. That happened how many years ago?
2009.
Right. So it's
2009.
So yeah, you've been. That's a century ago. So you've done very well for yourself. So all right, after all the programming, all of that, and you're back in society. How did you get back into the mode of Walter? How did you get back into saying, okay, I know my purpose and why I'm here. Let me pursue that with all of these things that you had, these strikes they put against you, with being a convicted felon?
Wow, the toughest part was overcoming the guilt and the shame of me losing it all.
Mm-hmm.
How do I look at my daughters, and how do I look at my family and say, man, I was once that person, but I had to accept that that's not me anymore. That's not me living that lifestyle. I got to use everything I've learned not to go back. So I woke up one day, and I'll never forget, it was Christmas, and I didn't have a job. It was below zero, and I caught the bus all the way to Earth City to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught the bus to work in the factory, and I just worked and I said I can't do this anymore. And so I finally got enough money to save it for a car, and I got that car, and I didn't drive for about a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the same time, I don't know if you remember, right before I went in, I had just overcome being on life support.
Mm-hmm.
I was on life support for pneumonia.
I remember that.
So I stayed in the hospital for almost a month. I was on life support for 2.5 weeks, and I had mycoplastic pneumonia. So after battling pneumonia and fighting for my life, I still had to go to prison. And I'm like, God, why? What purpose? Why I got to do this? And so I'm like, something inside of me and Trinity say, why not you?
Mm-hmm.
You got to accept responsibility. That was you living that life, and for whatever you've done, these are the circumstances for you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I accepted those circumstances, I understood I've gone the lowest I can go, and the only way I can do, and the only thing I can do from here is go up.
Love it. I love it. So now, in this day and time, what has your life been, and what have you been doing with your life to be back, like I said, a successful man legally? How have you changed that, and what are you doing with that?
So this is crazy. So my pledge father, Gaither Williams, G-Rock, he hired me to do construction in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I started the concrete crew, the trim crew. I worked hard, got dirty, nasty, and then I sold my first piece of property, and I got people sign off on it, and I went up on the roof. And I said, I can't do this, man. I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I got fired. But I went back, and he said, no, can't nobody fire you. You know, you go and tell them this is not personal. This business. You get out of here. You fired. So I fired somebody when I was like 22. And so I kind of like working with my hands. And when I was incarcerated, they had a construction program. It was like an 8-month construction program. It was like 5 hours a day, Century College. And you actually built a structure, a home inside a prison. In a big garage, they had you build a house by hand make the roof, put the doors in, the windows in, and then you had to take it all apart.
Mm-hmm.
So I received that certification, and I kept looking for job after job. As soon as they found out you was a felon, you get fired, or there's some reason they gotta let you go. So I got an email one time and it said, would you like to make $50K a year? So I'm like, $50K? I'm looking at the email like $50,000. Wow. Man, I was used to making 10 cents an hour, 14 cents an hour, 20 cents an hour. So, now I'm like, man, I'm back in the money again. It's like, what's that, trading places?
Mm-hmm.
And we back, Vladimir.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm back.
Right.
So I've been back ever since.
Right.
So.
And you've been progressing.
Progressing. So here we go. I go to this interview. This guy say, I like you. I like your personality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I look at, man. It's about the gift.
Mm-hmm.
I love the money, but let me develop my gift here.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and did some sales. I started in Chesterfield, Clayton, Ladue. Big black man, Chesterfield, Clayton, Ladue, knocking on doors, saying, let me see your house. Let me inside your house. They was like closing the doors on me and everything. I had a nonviolent felony, so only thing I am is being black. But the one lady who opened the door, I never forget. And she said, you can look at my roof. And that lady allowed me to sell her roof. Then they went to Neighborhood Watch, and I sold like 19, 20 roofs in like 2 months. So I made assistant manager in 3 months.
Wow. The transition is amazing.
The transition is amazing. But one of my friends back home in St. Louis, he had his own company. He was saying, these are the numbers. I said, well, they're supposed to be giving me a percentage of his profit. He said, look at the numbers. And I looked at the numbers. They weren't right. So basically, they were cheating me. I was doing deals for thousands, but I was only getting pennies on 1,000. So they went out of the country for about a week, and I had to run the whole office. And I run the whole office, and I'm saying, okay, you got to talk to the insurance company, you got to send the checks out, you got to run the team, you got to do the sales, you got to do the marketing. And then it popped in my head, well, you should run the city. Sure not, you can do this for yourself. At the time, my lady kept telling me, you need to do this for yourself, you need to do this for yourself. And ultimately, I ended up breaking off with them, going with my friend for about a year or two. And then I ended up getting my own thing. And ever since then, I've been thanking God, because without him, I'd be nothing.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. So plug your business, man.
Oh, AB Ram Consulting LLC. If your insurance company not treating you right, they don't want to give you a roof, if they don't want to properly assess your damages, give me a call. I like them to tell me no. At the same time, I'm going to maximize your policy, educate you on what it's like to go through insurance claim process, and then get you a crew to put your house back together to its condition before all the damage ever occurred. Now, I got a 98% approval rate. Why? Because I know the process. A lot of homeowners don't know the process, but I do.
That's big. So if you had to encourage anybody out there that has been through such a struggle as you have, what would you say?
Joe, let me tell you, my biggest forte is education. There is no substitute for education, whether it's a skill or a trade or a book. So with that, can nobody ever take that away from you? Now, when Du Bois and all those forerunners of what is it to sustain yourself in the black community, one thing was being taught back then is say, if you learn a skill or a trade, you can always acquire business from your own people, at minimum. Because guess what? When we went through the COVID situation and all the service economies and everything was shutting down, people building homes, people providing services to the people, that never stopped. Because they had a skill or a trade.
It's deep.
Yeah, that's deep. So the streets raised me, the frat saved me, and the system made me better.
Wow.
So I'm a well-rounded person.
I did.
I used to be like, man, I've been everything but locked up. I've been there too. And back.
And flourishing.
Yes. My life was like a pair of skis going down a steep slope with rocks and chips and bumps everywhere. And I'm like, how did I dodge this? How did I dodge that? How did I dodge this? How did I dodge that? Had to jump off a cliff, land on my feet, and soon I came into flat land. But damn it, how do you stop? You won the race. But it's stopping, going back up the hill, starting all over, and alleviate all the bumps, and it's just a smooth ride. A smooth ride. A smooth ride.
Through all of this, how did you develop and grow spiritually?
It was like I was thanking God for every day. You have to make every day count. There got to be something inside of you to be like, man, if they talked about him and persecuted him, and the first person he forgave was a murderer and a robber. I haven't done any of those things. What about me?
Steve.
So I just look at life with a whole different perspective. Because I could have died on life support. I could have died in prison. So sometimes your struggle might not even be your testimony. It might be for somebody else to see.
That's true.
Because I'm a total different person now than I was back then.
Right. Wow. Man, your story has always been amazing to me. So I wanted to share it with the world and put it on my platform. I appreciate you all for stepping out and allowing me to get this interview, because it's gonna help somebody somewhere.
I appreciate you because, you know, here's the thing. that if you can't reach one, you can't teach one. You know, our people still need to understand that there is some type of structure to surviving.
Mm-hmm.
And the people we need to reach are those young kids out there with that gun that might pull a trigger and they're not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't even get into the ceasefire aspect when I went to Chicago, and then I came back with Dr. Gary Sluckin, who has an international model to stop the killing, and training every gang neighborhood in Chicago, Kennedy, East St. Louis, and put it down, and we stopped violent killings. This is before I came into politics, by 20% in certain neighborhoods.
That's amazing.
So we went to every gang flux neighborhood in Chicago. So being in East St. Louis and growing up in Old Weathers, you know, growth and development, that's already in sight. I'm straight into that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the easy part in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back to East St. Louis, in the St. Louis area, and telling somebody, hey, it's more to life than just killing each other. Because think about it, Joe. I could have chose that path too.
That's true.
And I was actually in that path with some guys that made the decision. Like, you say you don't like this guy. You say you don't like this guy. You hate this guy. You hate this guy. You end up in a place that you still got to be with the guy you hate.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most segregated part of society is inside a prison.
Yeah, believe it. I mean, you're speaking truth. Speaking truth.
I don't know that.
Man. Well, man, I salute the divinity in you, and we gonna see you next time because there's more to your story. Actually, we're gonna capture a little bit something after this vlog, but we'll be back with Walt, and we thank you for this one.
Appreciate you.